Hey everyone, I've decided to make this video series of advice that I'd give my younger self, advice that I wish a older sibling or mentor had told me when I was growing up. If I sound a little bit sick, it's because I am a bit nasally, under the weather, but I've decided no more excuses. So here I am, and let's get started with the video series. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about today in particular is about the concept of dominance for young men. I think it's easy to think that when you hear the word dominance and when you hear the word thrown around with like the red pill YouTubers and like alpha male spaces, controlling, suppressing your emotions, you can't really talk about stuff. It's about like, if you feel hurt, just gloss over it. If you feel any emotion, you don't feel it for a second, and then like whatever, don't think about it anymore, let it pass. It's your time to dominate. You got to get in the gym, you got to eat, you got to really kind of push yourself every single day. And I'm not really sure if people are getting the right message across, or if young men, young teenagers, young teenage boys are kind of understanding the nuance behind this stuff. So what I really wanted to talk about today is the idea of dominance. What does that mean? And it ties into a few different concepts I'm going to kind of elaborate on. The first thing is emotion and anger. So immediately, if you are a young man who is in those spaces and takes in that advice, what I'm about to say will piss you off. But my question is, why does it kind of irritate you behind the screen? I don't know that you're getting irritated. I'm assuming that you are, because sometimes this topic can be abrasive to some people. But if that's the case and I'm predicting this right, then the question is, why do you feel that way? I can't see through the screen. I have no idea who you are. So when I say that, well, what I'm about to say is that anger and emotion are similar in the sense that anger is an emotion. So if you are getting angry, you are being emotional. So this might beg the question, okay, Parth, like, why are you saying that? I thought we're talking about dominance. A lot of these spaces harness young men's anger. So, you're kind of being frustrated at the world. Maybe you feel like people don't understand. You're getting kind of angry, frustrated, sad, hurt. But you kind of stonewall it, And I used to do that. I still kind of do it. I'm not perfect. But I've worked through these things. So I know how emotions can affect men. So, which is why I'm saying it. When you're getting angry, when you're getting emotional, you can't just say that you're not being emotional. You are not in control when you are allowing yourself to get angry, to get frustrated. Now, you might say, okay, Parth, you're talking about a lot, but what does this really all mean? When we're tying it back into dominance, a lot of these spaces don't really give you the nuance of what it means to dominate. These spaces are telling you to dominate other people, dominate the gym. You got to really act like this super alpha male type of vibe. And at this point, you know what? If you're a guy and you want a space that pushes you hard, so be it. I get that. Sometimes you got to grind, you got to work, you got to do that stuff. You got to have that motivation to hype you up, to get you through the day. I'm not saying that that's not cool. What I want to say is, before you get too knee deep into that stuff, you need to understand and take a step back and understand your own emotions. Like, what is driving you to do something? Why does something make you angry? Why is it that when you get angry, you push yourself into doing something else? Why are you deflecting your own emotions of anger? Some of you might be saying, Parth, I don't do that. What are you guys talking about? And how is this tying to dominance? The thing is, if you don't have control over your own emotions, you are not in control of anything. You can't even dominate yourself, man. And that's one of the things that I told myself a lot. I used to get really upset when I was younger. I'd be angry all the time, angry at the world, angry I didn't have close friends, angry I didn't have people understanding me, angry that I'd be alone all the time. I'd take it out on family. And eventually I realized that no one is coming to save me except myself. That if I act this way, the only person I'm hurting by acting this way is myself. And I don't have control over my own self if I keep acting this way through anger. So a lot of these spaces, they need to teach and help young men understand that, like, you need to be in control of your own emotions first to dominate, your own mental. If you can't control that, how are you supposed to control anything else? Men say, there's often advice, and it's that You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you can react. And a lot of times you hear that advice and you think, oh, if I just, don't react, then that's fine. No, but you're still hurting inside, man. Like, something that happens to you will still bother you. Just because you kind of ignore it doesn't mean that it's not being processed in your mind. You can't just skip over stuff. You have to be able to understand it, accept it, process your emotions, control your emotions. But if you just skip over stuff, if you just hide your feelings in your muscles, that's not really, you're not in control of your own self. The point I'm trying to get across here is that if you aren't in control of yourself, you can't be in control of anything else beyond you as well. So, especially with anger, you need to understand that, like, the hard truth is you're getting emotional, you are an emotional person. And that's okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with being an emotional person. Even if you don't want to be, that might just be you now because you haven't worked on how to process your own emotions, how to process getting angry, how to process getting upset. So, people don't really chat about like what anger is and how to process it. And you can't just kind of skim over it. And do I have all the answers for you? No. But what I want you to understand is that getting angry all the time means that you are not in control of yourself. If there's one lesson you take away from this little chat, it's that you aren't in control of yourself. And so how are you supposed to control anything else if you can't even control your own emotions? That's just up here. No one else is watching you. There's no teachers, there's no parents, there's no siblings, there's no one else watching. I'm not looking at you. I'm not behind your back, seeing if you get angry, if you react to something, if you respond properly in a moment of anger. And if that kind of hurts your pride or kind of pisses you off a little bit on the inside, my question is why, And it might be because you don't like the idea that you might be an emotional person because you're angry, that you don't know how to control your anger. And again, if I'm ticking you off, I hope so. Like I said, I want to give older sibling advice. Like, that means I'm right. And I'm not trying to be right here and say, hey, I told you so, I told you so. It's so I can be like, look, I've been there. I know that that's how it works because I was there. And I wish someone had told me this before. And so I would have saved years of trying to understand, like, hey, I was an angry, emotional person. And the reactions that I had to certain events, I could have had them, I could have had much better responses to stuff if I just was in control of my own self. And the way that I found that I was able to control these emotions is by asking myself, why am I being angry? And one example, let me give you guys an example. Because a lot of times hurt, anger, frustration all kind of come together. There's that Duke Dennis clip, right? Where if you're not invited to someplace, if you're not invited out, don't go. And that's great. But again, we're not really talking about like the nuance behind it. Like, if that, like, I'm gonna be honest, that's probably happened to some of you. It's happened to me and it's pissing me off now still. But then I ask myself, why am I being pissed off? Why am I angry and hurt and upset that I wasn't invited somewhere? And it's kind of like, dude, because you're not invited, duh. But that's not exactly the answer. The answer that I have come to is that if someone's making plans in front of you and don't invite you, one, you thought you were part of something, and that's very upfront confirmation that you are not invited. So obviously you're hurt. You thought that you were invited somewhere and you're not, right? But the second thing is you might be kind of like bitter at that point. Like, yo, fuck these guys. Like, I don't need them anyway. Like, they keep shunning me. I keep trying to invite them out. Like, I'm not part of this squad. Like, fuck these guys. But then now, that's the next thing. Like, you're being bitter towards yourself. By being that way and being angry. So it's kind of like, if you don't come and understand these realities, like, the only person you're hurting is yourself. If you don't understand where your emotions are coming from, you have no dominance over yourself. You have no idea how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. Someone else is living life for you. If you are not in control of your emotions, you are on autopilot. You are only reacting. You are not in response. You're just reacting in response to external influence. You can't decide for yourself how to feel about something. You have no autonomy over your own emotions. So let's go back to that example, right? You're not invited somewhere. And then that Duke Dennis clip, if you're not invited, don't ask, don't go. Maybe, But then, like, you gotta ask yourself, are these people like really close to me? Is there a reason that I wasn't invited? Is it like a good reason? Are these people just kind of like not as open to inviting other people as I am? If I think back, am I actually close enough with these people? And should I ask to go? You know, maybe not in most cases, but maybe in like 20% of cases, you think, you know what, maybe they just haven't asked, and I'll just ask someone like, hey man, heard you guys had plans Friday, is it cool if I come? We're all chill. And if you get a no, hey, you asked, you got your answer. You can be sad and angry and upset that these people that you thought were your friends don't really treat you that nice. There might have been something you did, but now you can reflect on that without your anger. Like now it's clear, oh, maybe I did do something wrong. Maybe there's something I can apologize for because I unintentionally hurt someone. You can start to take accountability for your own actions. And maybe it comes to a point where there is no accountability for your actions because it's them who are being like mean people. And that's fine too. But if you are not in control of your emotions, if you can't see and think clearly with unclouded judgment, you're never going to be able to find that stuff out. And that's where where this becomes nuance. Like, this comes with controlling your emotions, being able to see, being able to like understand why you're feeling a certain way. Like, I could go through more examples, but this video is about 10 minutes long. I'm not trying to like keep chatting for a while. Hopefully this video was clear with some examples of like what I mean by controlling your emotions, really understanding the root reason as to why you're feeling a certain way, and understanding that don't let your emotions live you. Control your emotions, because otherwise you're not living life as yourself. You're just reacting to external stimulus. Hopefully this video was helpful. If I feel like I struck a nerve, I hope I did, because that means I'm kind of getting through to you. This video series, or this video at least, wasn't meant to be a thing where I can laugh and say I told you so. I don't know how you're feeling, and I think it's good because I'm not passing any judgment. I have been in these situations. I have been in these situations verbatim as I'm describing them. So all of these stories come from a place of empathy. Again, I want to reiterate, I'm saying these stories as if I wish an older brother or older sibling had told me, kind of brought me under their wing and said like, look, I've been there before, And this might not resonate with everyone. Not every coaching style or parenting style, not that I'm parenting anyone, but not every coaching style or way of speaking to people gets through to people. And the way that I'm doing it intentionally right now might not be the case. But if it gets through to someone, then I'm happy. And the reason why I made this video has fulfilled its purpose. So I'll make more videos, hopefully that people find these helpful. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care, guys.